And before you get started, please, if you haven't had a chance, take a look at the code of conduct. It's easy to get to from our website, from the About menu. Read it over, do a little bit while I'm talking at the beginning. Essentially, be empathetic, respectful, welcoming, friendly, and patient. That's what makes our community so great. Be collaborative. Be careful in the words we choose. So that's at Slack. That's in spoken discussions. It's in chat here in Zoom, in everything that we do. So with that, let's dive into it. For those of you that I don't know, my name's Ian Kaza, and I'm currently have the pleasure and privilege of serving as the chair of the steering committee here at USRC. And it's one of my favorite things to do each year. We're on our third iteration of this now, which is to talk about what we've done over the last year in USRC, give an overview of some of the happenings, the events, and goals and plans for the upcoming year. So let's dive into it. Just to review, I know you're all here familiar, but what are guiding principles here at USRC? First, around community. That is, we're trying to build a professional community, a network of peers to share knowledge, connections, resources, advocating on behalf of RSCs to promote the impact on research, highlighting the increasingly valuable and important role that RSCs serve in the research ecosystem, providing resources. So this could be early career, mid-career, late career, groups, organizations trying to build RSC capabilities, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. So not just within our organization, obviously within the USRC, but also in the broader RSC community, looking to actively promote, encourage, and improve diversity across the broader landscape. So with that, it's been an exciting year. Since the last RSC, we've welcomed 590 new members, which is great. And actually went back and tried to look at where we were at each of the three that we've done. And so from 600, when we decided it would be around a good time to start pulling everyone together and having one of these meetings, up to where we are now, over 1,400 members. It's been exciting, and it also helps you see that it looks like it's accelerating. We've had a few events this year that I think have helped, which I'll talk about in a second. We're not a US only thing. Obviously, we're based in the US, so that's where most of our people are, but we're welcoming. You can encourage your friends and families from other places to join, and if they'd like to participate. We're going to do things in US-centric time zones, US-centric thing, but we're certainly welcoming to anyone who wants to join us. Zoom in a little bit. We're not in all 50 states. I'm inclined to say we need to make this a goal for 2023 to find some people who are in the few unrepresented states so far. But you can see hotspots around, and this idea of local and regional groups, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So what's new? What's been happening over the last year? So where we ended last year, if you've been around, we had 3 working groups that were doing great things. Well, this has really taken off over the last year. We're going to have a whole section on it later, so I don't want to go into too much detail other than enthusiastically bring to your attention that these things are happening. They're popping up. We welcome you to start new ones. There's some guidance now to help you on the way, but all kinds of great things happening. I think this is really kind of becoming the heartbeat of the organization in these working groups. And they're organizing events. This is fantastic. So DEI kind of started this off, the DEI working group, with the Media Club and Speaker Series. Education and Training has started a seminar series as well. The Outreach Funder Speaker Series has started. You notice these are all on YouTube. They're all available on our YouTube channel. Go subscribe, keep updated on what's been happening. But this is all coming from the working groups themselves. It's really terrific to see and making a difference. As we've done for years, we've continued the community call, so 1 a month on various different topics. So you can see ranging from the technical Jupyter notebooks and advanced RSC workflows up to something maybe a bit more meta. In June, we talked about the state of RSC in the US. These are typically on the second Tuesday of the month from noon to 1 Eastern, or trying to be a bit accommodating to different time zones. Our fellow members in Alaska and Hawaii, that's a little early for them, trying to do it on a different time so people can attend on Fridays. There's a group that organizes these that certainly welcome to join, suggest ideas for community calls. The recordings are available. They're unlisted, so they're shared in the community calls channel in Slack if you want to go back and watch them. There's often breakout rooms where there's discussion, so some make better recordings than others, but they're not put publicly. And obviously check out events webpage to see what's coming down the pike. We had a big in September, a big virtual workshop. The theme was Make It Happen Towards a Diverse and Sustainable Future. I had a keynote, which was excellent. I really suggest maybe go back, take a look at it. 9 talks, 3 breakout sessions. Almost all of it's on the YouTube channel. There's a playlist, I believe. It really, I realize I'm biased, but I think it was excellent across the board. All the talks were really good and on point. So take a look at that if you missed it. We had our first ever in-person event for USRSC. So in April, we had about 50 people, sponsored by a grant from Alfred Sloan Foundation. This was 2.5 years in the making. It was intended to be in early 2020. You know how that went. But we finally were able to get everybody together, and lots of really neat things started here and have since evolved. So there are breakout group sessions focused on pertinent topics more from around the space. I've got a list actually over here. I don't expect you to read them all, but you'll see some popping up here and there of like working groups that have started there and have since gone on, like RSEs and national labs down at the bottom, or other activities and initiatives that have started, the conference planning or workshop planning. It's been a lot of good blog posts have come out. Take a look, see what happened. This was a really important milestone for us of really kickstarting things in the organization. Speaking of which, came out of this, the discussion started there. In October, we teamed up with ADSA, so that's the Academic Data Science Alliance, to put together a career support workshop. And the idea here was to get together people representing both research software engineers and data scientists, some representing both, and put together a guidebook for career paths in academia specifically. It was a working meeting. A lot of writing was done to build a guidebook to look something like this. So talking about what's important, but then posting positions, how do you make the business case, getting buy-in, working with HR and position descriptions, recruiting, managing these teams, and then retention and development. We really think this is going to be an important resource for the broader community as we hear of more and more people building RSE groups and teams in the academic setting. So keep an eye out for that in the March-ish timeframe. It's still a big endeavor to get everything together and built. Some other conference-related events and activities. So at PERC in Boston, there was a panel on building enduring cyber infrastructures and the role of professional RSEs. In eScience in Salt Lake City, there was a workshop on RSEs and eScience. And last month in Dallas, there was a workshop on RSEs and HPC, part of which was a panel showed here. So trying to make a presence at these larger conferences, and I think there's certainly more opportunity to do this in the future. Well, speaking of SC22 was another first for us. We had an exhibitor booth. So for those that aren't aware, so SC is supercomputing. It's a large HPC conference. By large, I think this year was around 11,000 people. They have a large exhibitor floor where vendors and other entities can have booths to allow people to interact. Obviously, places like NVIDIA and Dell have huge, massive, elaborate booths. We had a very small 10 by 10 one, but we had a lot of great feedback, a lot of great interactions with people ranging from RSEs themselves who are excited to interact with us and each other, students discovering this is a career path, a lot of great interactions and sort of legitimizing of a career path that they didn't really know was a thing. Funders and vendors, lots of good discussions that I think will continue through next year. And then maybe others who said, what is an RSE? Tell me more, I'm interested. All in all, really great outreach, really great advocacy, things that happened. So much so that we went ahead and reserved a booth for next year as well. It was, by all accounts, it was a great success. And it was a lot of work to staff this booth for many consecutive days. So thanks to everybody who was there and participated. This summer, I want to say, we had a swag giveaway. So we had some leftover backpacks and tumblers. Set up a Google form who would like some, randomly picked those who we could send it to, and sent stickers to everybody else. But along the way, we asked, what's your favorite thing about USRC? And got some really encouraging answers. So I'm only going to share them a little bit with you here now. There's a word cloud of all the words that were included in that. And obviously research software engineering is there, but community, networking, organization, advocacy support, a lot of really great feedback. And I've just pulled out a few. So, and everybody said it was, everybody whose quotes I have here said it was fine to share, but I took names off. So finally, a community where my career path fits and is valued. I love how inclusive and diverse the community is. I love that USRC is helping develop the notion that RC is a real, legitimate, and very much needed career path. So it's exciting for us as organizers to hear that we're doing the right things. Put this in every year. I'm going to continue to say it every year because I think it is important. I want to make sure everybody knows about it. We have a job board. It's becoming increasingly popular and busy. I went back and looked, and we've had 225. Actually, this was a day or two ago, and I think a few more have come in. So I put the plus on, but a couple hundred submissions since the beginning of the year. As of yesterday, there were 31 RSEs and 9 related postings. It's quick and easy if you have a job or you see one to send it in, and there's a job post team that quickly gets it up on the website. If you're interested in participating in that, you can join there too. It's posted on Jobs and at Twitter, and we love to hear if there was success on either end of, as a hiring manager, you found the great person, or if as an RC you found a great job. We love to hear it. So please share your success. This question comes up from time to time, so I just want to make sure everybody knows where we stand. So USRC is a member organization of the Open Collective Foundation, which serves as our fiscal sponsor. This allows us to spend money, receive money, not to do very much of that, and transparently manage the finances there. So the Open Collective is the 501c3, and USRC is able to operate underneath that. So we can accept donations. They're greatly appreciated. And this is where, when we had the fundraiser last year, we were able to house essentially a bank account. It may not last us forever or even that much longer, but it's been a great starting point. So other changes that have happened recently. So the code of conduct, it's evolving. Our current code of conduct was developed, honestly, when there were about as many people in the organization as there are in this call. So in mid 2019, it was community drafted and published. The DEIA working group led an effort to include a diversity statement last year. And then some updates this year. We've created a code of conduct transparency log but what has happened in a public, aggregated, and anonymized way. That's going to get updated once every 6 months. Really looking to evolve this. There's a new working group that's been formed, the Working Group Code of Conduct Moderation. This is the Slack channel. I'd encourage you, if this is an important part of the health of our organization, and as we grow, having more and more people. So if this is something you're interested in or would like to see or influence, please join that working group. They're doing great and really important work there. Brief update on communications. We try very hard not to spam you with lots of email, reserving that for major events, updates, community call announcements, things like that. Slack is where everything happens. If you haven't checked out what other Slack channels are out there, sometimes it can be hard to discover. So please go take a look, scroll through the available Slack channels. Lots of stuff is happening there. Obviously, Twitter updates, jobs and news goes there. LinkedIn, not a whole lot's happening there. There is a LinkedIn page. If that's something that you're interested in helping us maintain and update, get in contact. We'd love to make more use of that. And just recently, with the maybe some of the migration from Twitter to Mastodon, we've just started a USRC Mastodon account there. So here's how to interact with us there. In 2021, the International Council of RSC Associations was formed. It's continued through 2022. The idea here of bringing together the leadership from the increasing number of national associations of RSEs, really to just collaborate and work together to discuss issues, events, make sure there's not conflicts. We're on the same team, essentially. So there were the 7 founding members. RSE Asia, that's starting to form, is observing and participating as well. Doing things like coordinating International RSE Day, connecting job boards and workshops and other worldwide. So we're participating in that. Special thanks to Dan Katz and Nicole Brewer for being our representatives on this council. Everyone asks, what's coming? So this is sort of from the steering committee's perspective. Obviously, we are a grassroots organization, a community driven, so we want to hear feedback. But here's some of the things on our radar that we're planning. Hopefully you've heard by now, this is a really exciting development. We're going to have our first ever in-person conference. We wrote first annual because certainly plans for this to become a regular thing. A conference in Chicago in October. So in the process of selecting committee chairs, building out committees, there will be a lot of work to do. But it's happening. I've been using this hashtag. This is not a Slack channel, by the way. This is just a hashtag of social media. Like we've been using this for years, saying we're going to have a conference in 2023, and it's actually coming to realization. So mark your calendars. Start making the case for funding to come. Start thinking about what you might want to submit or how to participate. It's going to be great. Another major goal, as I mentioned, the working groups are growing. They're doing great and amazing work. We want to support that. We want to be enthusiastic enablers of these working groups because they're really driving the mission of the organization forward. So whatever we can do that. So partially to that end is the idea of bringing in some funding. So we sort of saw what could happen with hosting workshops that require funding, but also people maybe having some dedicated FTE effort that could help drive us forward. Activities including DEI and advocacy to drive our mission forward. Mentioned events, building and developing and housing resources. And it's not really exciting, but some organizational tools to keep things organized. That you may have noticed, it's hard to update your email address. Little things like that to help us be efficient in what we do. So definitely an active area of work for us in trying to bring in some external funding to support the organization. And then lastly, governance. So I mentioned improving and evolving the code of conduct, but also exploring an external advisory board to help through the growth and maturation of the organization. Obviously, this may change. We have steering committee elections coming up. Plug the vote in that. We've got some great candidates. Working groups, right? It feeds up. They're really driving things, and feedback from you. We want to hear from you. Please do it. It's important. It's lots of ways to get involved. So speaking of which, look, most activities happening on Slack. If you're not on there, take a look. Try to set your notifications so it suits your workflow. And I've showed this slide before, slightly modified. Be really clear here. Can you post in channel? Yes, absolutely. Please post there. Can you create a channel? Yes, absolutely. Maybe put a little note in general and say, I think someone recently just made one on, HPC. Yes, absolutely. Please do. It's what it's there for. It is a tool for the community to use. Can you start an initiative or organize an event activity? Yes. Can you join a working group? Yes, I know. Please go and say, I'm interested in joining this working group. Everybody is welcoming and friendly. Pop in. Absolutely. Can you start a working group? Yes, we even have a little bit more guidelines and increasing amount of resources to help you get and lift it off. Is USRC only for HPC, national labs, and university? No, I have to put a no in there. Otherwise, it can't be all yeses. Really, we want to be inclusive. It's these are big subgroups, but certainly not exclusively. We're not all about this. So I want to thank a few people and then move things along. The current steering committee are a great group of people helping, but really point out too that Chris Hill and Dan Katz are not running for re-election. They are stepping down. They've both been around since the very, very beginning. So a special thanks to their service and work on this organization. We wouldn't be where we are without them. And this is how you get in contact with us. So contact@usrc.org goes to the whole steering committee, as does if you tag at Slack at SC on Slack. I'll get there too. I also want to thank all of you. So everyone here, everyone in the tradition, working group chairs and members, I mean this, I've said it a couple of times, but you're really doing amazing things. It's exciting to sit back and watch all of the great work that's being done in these, to advocate, to outreach, to drive DEI, drive education and training. There's too many to even list. You're doing great things, so thank you. The community calls, this is how we get together. So the participants and the organizers, thank you for the work that you do participating. Everybody on Slack, you're the ones making this community inviting, inclusive, and worthwhile. You're what's driving forward that sense of identity and community. So really, it's everyone. I think it's safe to say the RC movement is in full swing, and it's exciting for all of us to be a part of it. So remember these quotes that we had before. I want to say that this really is on all of you to make how you make this inclusive and welcoming. So I grabbed a few more too. The best part of USRC is the community of active and friendly individuals who are always willing to help their fellow members. Everyone's so supportive. It seems like every question in the Slack workspace gets at least one useful answer. Folks are consistently sharing ideas and resources. I love the supportive community. Everyone is friendly. When I ask questions, technical and career related, I always get helpful responses. So that's a testament to this community that we're doing good things. And so thanks to all of you. With that, I'm going to wrap up. So we don't really have time for questions right now. We're going to save them all for the end, where we have open question time. But you can post in Slack, you can tag, you can email. We want to hear from you. What do you hope to see? What feedback or suggestions, ideas do you have? So with that, let me end. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I think next, I'm going to hand it over to David, who's going to lead our next section on the working groups.
Yeah, I'll take it away. Hey, Ian. Hey, for people that don't know me, David Nicholson. I work at Embedded Intelligence in the DC area. It's not my official job title, but I am a research software engineer. And like Ian just said, like 5 times, a big part of what's driving USRC forward is working groups. So because of that, we're going to do an update from the working groups right now and talk about what everybody's been up to in 22. What I'm going to do is share the slides, and I will drive, and then people can let me know when they need me to advance slides. Let me make sure that I'm doing that correctly. Does everybody see working groups update?
That's good, David.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so we'll start with, I believe, Jeff Carver is going to talk about education and training.
All right, great. Thanks, David. Yes, so together with Lauren Milliken, I chair the Education and Training Working Group. As Ian showed on one of the earlier slides, it's one that's been around for a long time. You can see on the slide, we've in previous years kind of worked on putting together some different resources, and those are on our webpage on the USRC site. So we've got a list of online training materials. We built an initial list of RSC skills that obviously can be evolved more in the future. But in the last year, we focused more on creating an ENT seminar series. Some of this came out of a discussion in the April meeting that Ian mentioned earlier. So we've been spending a lot of time identifying those. We've hosted our first training or seminar already. Angela Herring spoke about Agile project management. And as Ian said, that video is out on the YouTube channel if you want to find it. We're in the process of organizing more for next year. We hope to do one every couple of months, kind of iterating between more technical talks like Angela gave, and then others that are a little bit deeper dive into tutorials that could be more hands-on. So we're working on setting up our first tutorial. You can see there on the slide that it's going to be setting up a scientific software project from GitLab from zero to hero. So we don't have a date yet, but that's our tentative plan for the next one. So if anybody is interested in either being part of helping to plan these future talks or other things related to education and training. We definitely have other ideas. We definitely are looking at how do we put skill sets together? How do we think about training people in career paths, even, really audacious goals of certificates and degree programs. We've talked about those in the past, haven't made much progress on those, but those are definitely things on our list of ideas that we could talk about in the future. So if you're interested in that, you can see our coordinates there at the bottom. We meet on Zoom the first Tuesday of every month. We've got a Slack channel, and that email address there goes to the chairs. And if you want to get on or get the calendar invite to be added to the Zoom meeting, just send a message to there or post in Slack, and we'll get you added to that. So with that, I will pass it on to the next group.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. Next group will be diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I think that is Lance speaking.
Yes, thanks, David. Yeah, so the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Working Group, and we've been around for almost a couple of years now, I think. And it's a great group of people. We're, working to promote, encourage, improve diversity, in USRSE and also just the broader RSE, USRSE and RSE community. Over the last year or so, we've had, I think, 3 speaker series events that are all on YouTube. So if you missed those, go and check them out. We have occasional media club discussion groups. So that's where we either, read something or watch a video or listen to a podcast, and having to do with diversity, equity, inclusion, usually in a tech space, and then kind of get together and talk about it. Those have been some really good meetings. So if you're interested in that, come and join our next one. We put together a DEI resources list. That's sort of an ongoing project. We're always working on that, trying to find new things. So if you go check it out, see what's there. If you have anything new, let us know. We're always looking to kind of grow that list. And we've put together some of the candidate guidance for the steering committee. And Nicole Brewer actually hosted a steering committee nomination workshop. Trying to work toward getting greater diversity and better inclusion in our leadership here at USRSE. The stuff we're working on, one of the things we're really trying hard on is to get some good metrics for USRSE. We have some information from the International RSE survey, which was done, but we'd like to get maybe some more specifically about USRSE and maybe some more detailed metrics there. So we're working with, we'll see, there's a few other groups working together. SSI is one of them. RISA, the Research Software Alliance, I think, we're working together with them kind of in collaboration with GitHub's All-In program to see if we can put together some pilot surveys. That's in the early stages, but if you're interested in doing something like that, stop by our channel, let us know. And also working on developing resource toolkits, things like diversity and hiring, like different hiring practices and workplace culture, that sort of idea. So if you have any thoughts or ideas on that, we have a suggestion form. You can stop by our Slack channel, WG Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. Got our email address, WGDEI. So yeah, and check out our webpage there. That has a list of some of the stuff we're up to. And we meet, every 2 weeks on Zoom, pretty much. We'll probably have a poll going out soon to pick some new meeting times. So now would be a great time to hop on over to the Slack channel and check out what's going on. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Lance. Also, we have the next speaker series coming up December 14th.
Yes, that's right. Thanks, David.
It's going to be very cool. It's about comics and about accessibility. So please join for that. Sorry, Lance, for taking over from you at the end. Outreach will be Miranda, right?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I see a lot of actually names here that I haven't seen before, and that's extremely exciting to me. So hi, people I don't know, and hi, people I do know. I am Miranda Munt. I'm one of the co-chairs for the USRC Outreach Group or Outreach Working Group. My other co-chair is Joshua Teves or Josh Teves, who's maybe also still in the call or maybe not. He's at an airport right now. So who are we? So we're basically the outreach group. We started this year, so everything we've done has been this year, and that's it. But we intending to promote the USRC organization. We want to raise awareness of the RSC professional designation. We want to do outreach, advocacy, all those sort of things that this group really does, but we kind of try to target specifically going to places we've been before, places we haven't been, and make materials for people to share. So this year, Ian already mentioned one of them. We did our first ever swag giveaway to give away some cool stuff to our people in our community. Just thank you all for being here and, you know, give you all a chance to be able to show off your USRC pride. We have a new USRC outreach materials Dropbox, or sorry, Google Drive. Wow, old school. Google Drive, where we have presentations, our brochure. So this is a place that you can drop your stuff if you've made something to promote the USRC or pull from something that somebody else has already made, promoting some reusability. We've held events at eScience and at Supercomputing 2022. Ian already mentioned this too, and in fact used the same picture, darn Ian, of our booth, where we got a lot of people coming to talk to us and learning about the USRSC. It was a lot of fun. We're planning on doing it again next year in Denver. If you're going to be there, we would love for you to come and help us out or just come say hi. Also, as part of eScience and Supercomputing or anything that we're planning on doing in the future, we've been forming some informal social events. So, you know, anybody who's going to be in whatever area, please come and hang out with us, you know, get some drinks, get some food, whatever. They're announced in advance of these events and they're put on our events page. And we also successfully started, or one of our shoot-offs successfully started the Funder series. Our very first talk was Hal Finkel from the DOE. There's going to be more to come in 2023. I'm going to hand off to Dan Katz to talk a little more about that in a second. But if you're interested in getting involved with us and helping us do more outreach, our channel is the WG Outreach channel on Slack. You can also email WGOutreach at usrsc.org. But Dan, if you want to talk more about that Funder series. Oh, sorry, Dan, are you not going to talk about the Funder series? Is that it? Never mind.
I wasn't planning to, but I can if you really want me to.
Nope, don't worry about it. There's a Funder series. There's more stuff coming up. That's it. You can go and read about it on our website.
Excellent. Okay, let's go ahead from there to the de facto acting chair of the website working group, Ian.
Yes, thank you. De facto currently, because there isn't one. So the website working group is probably the oldest of all working groups, in that the website existed for a while. It was a group of people who got together and started maintaining and evolving it. It's in the website channel. You can tag web dev. This is really important, right? The website is our public image and portal of the world. I bet many of you first found out about USRSC through usrsc.org. We've done web designs as other working groups are building pages, adding things. The website group works to ensure continuity and best practices and in a way that's maintainable. Would love to have someone take this over and drive it forward. You don't need to be super experienced. This friendly group, we can help you along. It's all in GitHub and Jekyll. Obviously, it would be helpful to know that, but not necessarily. Reviewing PRs is a great way to get involved. You don't have to have, write access to the repo. You can't break anything. It's an easy way to also stay connected and see what's going on. And like many of these working groups, let's make a broader pitch of, it's a great way to meet people in the community and interact and get to know each other. So come join, participate. I guarantee you we'd be thrilled to have even 1 or 2 PRs a year level of review, because that they're growing and there's more each time. So come join over there, take a look, and if you're willing, you can always ping me on Slack and to find out more. I would be happy to help anyone interested in kind of taking over leading this. With that, I'll pass it on to the next group.
Great, thank you, Ian. Okay, we'll go on to code of conduct and moderation. I'm not sure, is it Lance or Josh? Lance, you're going to.
Yeah, I think I'll take it. I know Josh is here, but I think he's in an airport right now. So
Yes, I see him
yeah.
masked and hidden underneath some airport ceiling tiles. So yeah.
Nice. So yeah, so Josh and I are the co-chairs, of the Code of Conduct and Moderation Working Group. So far, we've put together sort of a draft of revised Code of Conduct. We're trying to just kind of clarify some terms, make it a little bit easier to understand, a little more concise. So we have a draft of it there. If you once this talk is over, I think we have the slides and get a link to it there. You know, he's just ping us and ask. We've got a rough idea of the committee structure that we're going to have. In terms of committee, this would be the committee to respond, right, to Code of Conduct reports. So ideally, we're looking for 3 people who, you know, aren't on the steering committee, just to sort of separate leadership and that sort of a response, with some kind of a rotation going after that, but we're kind of working on that. And speaking of that, some of our challenges we've run into is just, you know, trying to find experience guidance on, you know, how to handle Code of Conduct things, how to write one, especially for online communities. A lot of the guidance we found has been, you know, kind of geared toward in-person events, especially if it was like pre-pandemic guidance. And while we do definitely need that, we have some, you know, we also have obviously a lot of online activity as well. So if you are somebody or know somebody who, you know, has any experience with any of that, please just reach out, let us know. Even if it's just, you know, giving some advice or pointing us in the right direction, that'd be great. Another thing we're looking at is just coming up with guidance, you know, to determine, you know, what would be a timely and fair response to any violations. And that's kind of our next big thing to finish. And, you know, we're looking, I think one of the big challenges too is just looking for people to be on the response committee. So if that's something you think would, you know, is important for the organization, we could definitely use some help in that area. Let us know. You can, you know, contact us. It's either me or Josh. You can go to our working group Slack channel. It's WG-COC-moderation. I should put that on the slide here, but I think you can find it. And yeah, so we're welcome for, you know, any kind of help, anything like that would be great. And hopefully our goal really here is to put this sort of a process in place, get an updated Code of Conduct, and you know, absolve ourselves. Dissolve the working group once we're done with that, and hopefully it'll just be a part of the organization going forward.
Yeah. Thank you, Lance. And Josh is can't speak in the airport, but is putting the draft link in the chat and
Thank you, Josh.
Yes. And I will put a link to the slides later in Slack too, since everybody included links. Thank you for doing that. So that way we can all get to the material. And then, you know, again, like Ian said 5 times, you know, working groups are kind of right now the beating heart of USRSE, and there's people that are doing a ton of work, even though they might not officially be a working group, and we're sort of still figuring out what it means to officially be a working group. That's something that came out of that community workshop that we had that Ian mentioned at the beginning. So for example, the community call, you know, Ian already mentioned, right? This is like a great way that we all come together, that Julia and Chris organize. And Elevating RSEs is another sort of group that's forming, and I'm just gonna give people a chance to talk. I actually didn't ask Julia and Chris, do you want to say something really quick, sort of about, you know, maybe what about forming as an official group, sort of like, would you be looking for help in the year coming up?
Yes, yeah, we're always looking for help. We are trying to make this a working group, and hopefully next year we'll finally succeed. We kind of regularly meet 2 weeks before each community call on the last Thursday, I believe it is, every month, to plan the following one. We were not so good the last couple of months, but we will take that up again. So if anyone's interested in helping organizing one, definitely join the community call channel. Ping us if you have any questions, and we'll be definitely being more regular again. Is actually meeting and planning the next community calls, and hopefully makes it an official working group eventually. Yeah, that's a
Yeah, and you know, in spite of maybe not being official on paper, of course, the community call is like a great way to, like the name says, bring the community together. It's been like super helpful for me, being somebody who joined when we were totally virtual, just getting the feel of the community. And like I saw Shazeb Siddiqui, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, had joined and was thinking about starting a group around software deployment. So like that might be a topic for a community call. You can just suggest them in the channel, bring people together that way, and talk about some topic. Elevating RSEs. This is Kenton, who I see you. Do you want to say a little bit about, you know, that came out of the community workshop as well?
Sure, yeah. So I'll be really brief. I think it's fair to assume that everybody here does research and software. So I would like everybody to please look at the last newsletter, and there's a link to a form, which I'm also pasting in chat, and please fill it out. It basically, what we're trying to do is collect user stories from our community about the discoveries that our software enables. And we really want to highlight that in the newsletters, and we'll select 1 or 2 for each of the newsletters going forward. And the key part here is that, you know, software is a critical part of science today, and we really want to highlight that aspect, that we are a critical part of the academic machinery, and that discoveries can't be done without us anymore. And so I'll basically leave it at that, but the working group is basically about really trying to highlight how critical RSEs are to research these days, in particular before campus leadership, funding agencies, and so forth. So please take some time to fill out that form and help us collect these stories.
Thanks, Kenton. And then is Chris Hill here? I don't think that no, he's not.
No, he has a conflict. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I remember that now. So I will try to say something about what financial stability is aiming for as a working group, which doesn't exist right now. Ian, like you said, we do have an open collective. But we're thinking long term. Is there more that we can be doing? And that's part of the goal of this group. Is that fair to say? I think that's what Chris is thinking about.
Yeah, it's about whatever financial expenses the organization might have, of finding a sustainable way to fund them.
Right. Like we had the first sort of t-shirt
or sponsorship ideas. All right, like there's lots of possible ways this could go.
And Dan, you raised your hand.
I was just going to say, Open Collective, you could kind of just think of as the bank account, but this group is trying to figure out, like, how do we get money in and in a way that we don't spend more than we have.
Yeah, which is worth thinking about. And I feel like we could also have a bigger conversation just about research software in general. Obviously, we have the funder series, but for, you know, like a single scientist developing a package in their lab, can they get some sort of financial stability for themselves? That could be worth talking about in the same group. Because I bet there's a lot of overlap there. Okay, Rinku, I know you're here. Do you want to talk about national labs?
Sure, I can talk briefly about it. So I am Rinku Gupta from Argonne National Lab, and the RSC empowerment in National Lab we are a relatively new working group. We started in September, but we already have an amazing group of people involved. And why was this working group created? Essentially to increase awareness and increase the sense of belonging. So if you think about it, technically most engineers and developers who are working in national labs, they are RSCs, but you'll be surprised to know that not many of them are familiar with the word RSC. And so our working group, we want to increase awareness about RSCs, and we want to tackle some of these challenges that are kind of, subtly different in national labs, involving career tracks or even education and training, and very much so in terms of recognition. How do you recognize RSCs within national labs? So we want to tackle some of these issues. We are relatively new, so we'll probably focus on a subset of these issues. But essentially, our goal is to create a sense of belonging between the different RSCs in national labs, and to make them understand that even though you are in different labs, you are still a big RSC community, and then there is this wider US RSC community present, and we all are one giant big team. So check our Slack channel. I think our Slack channel is called WG Empowerment in National Labs. So check us out. There's a lot of activity going on. We meet alternate weeks. And this is a great opportunity. There are like 75 people attending, and I would like to, welcome each one of you to join. Come talk to us, discuss your concerns, and I'm sure together we can come up with solutions. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing a lot of you there.
Perfect. Thank you, Rinku. And yeah,
questions?
Miranda put the link in Slack. Did somebody have a comment or question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Actually, I just get a good impression about Rinku's about the comments about RSC. Actually, indeed, is not officially recognized in many organizations. But my suggestion is how about create kind of a digital network, virtual, called the Digital Competence Center like this. They can play as a bridge role between this national labs and with the RSC community around the world, let's say, also in the US and also internationally. So in this kind of way we can connect to.
Sorry, just to interrupt. We're really trying
Sure.
to stay on schedule, and there will be a half hour for general discussion at the end. So I think this would probably be better to wait for that point. If that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we can talk more at the end, definitely. So just finishing up the list here, regional and local groups. Sandra, do you want to say a little bit?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Sandra Gesing. I'm from Partners Institute, and the regional local RSE groups working group formed at the April workshop, and so we put a blog post together. So the first events have started. So Mahmoud Shad organized one in his area, and Jordan and Raphael in their areas, and Chicago will come up, and she is missing at the moment as a working group wide. So we had first still a Slack channel and said, oh yeah, we want to open it now. We have the blog post out. We want to open the discussion. And who is the chair and the co-chair? And we are hanging there. We are very inclusive. We offer it each to the other person, on the group. Nobody is taking that role at the moment. And I think we will manage that. We will open up the channel. That it will happen in January. So I'm not too concerned there, because I know there's a lot of interest also how to start it. And there are a lot of possibilities. You can make it like, so for example, for Chicago, I plan that it would be in downtown Chicago, everyone can come who wants to join, and maybe have as the first event something like joining together one of the community calls and have pizzas, and then go from there what kind of events maybe make sense. And others started really like going to a cafe and also inviting researchers. So there we have seen different ways now how to bring local people together, and there would be also some support and brainstorming. And it doesn't have to be something regularly like every month or every 2 weeks. You can also plan for something maybe every 2 months. Maybe it's something where you say, oh, maybe we combine it with events at universities or something like that. So we had a lot of ideas there. We just need to make it a little bit more efficient. So we are working.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. And I put a link to that blog post. Definitely looking forward to, I think there's a lot of people that want to organize stuff locally and regionally. So just really quick, finishing up. Like Ian alluded to, and like I kind of said at the top, we're still sort of figuring out what is the process for forming different groups within USRSE, and this is another one of those things that came out of the meeting in April, the community workshop. And so Miranda Munt and I, Miranda, who you met already, are the co-chairs right now. We have sort of a draft process that came out of the workshop. We have some forms, so if you want to request group formation, then you go through there. We're already doing a dry run of this process with some existing groups, so that's why there's some that are more or less official. We need to finish up those guidelines, set up quarterly meetings. The first one will be in the first quarter of 2023. And the whole goal of this is basically to make it easier for all the other groups to do what they're doing. So we have to have some process. So we're trying to figure that out, but we want it to be the least painful as possible, you know, and we also want to be the people that are doing the administrivia of like keeping a list of all the groups. So if you want to know what the groups are, you come and ask the group management working group. And that should be the main thing that they're doing. So people that are trying to have a list of national labs groups and people that are trying to have a list of regional groups, please let us help you so you can actually grow those groups. So yeah, that's the update from the working groups. Sorry for going a little bit over. I'll give it back to Ian now.
Yeah, great. Thanks, David, and thanks to you, Miranda, and the rest of that group who are making it easier for everybody else. It's really important and valuable, and as the number of groups grow, so does the communication between them. So really, thank you. Next up, we have our treasurer, Yulia Damaro, to talk about the budget and financial status of USRSC.
Yes. Let me find my screen. Right. So that should be not too long, because there's not that much happening. So it was already mentioned that twice, I think, we are part of the Open Collective Foundation. They are a fiscal host. Basically, that means they're a 501c3 organization, and we are legally part of them. So their 501 status transfers to us, which means you can make donations to us. We have a website with them. It's linked from our homepage, and there you can go if you want to make a donation. And you can also see everything that's going on. So you can see all the transaction, anything that's being donated, everything that's going in and everything that's going out. OCF has about 445 projects. We are one of them, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have more questions, just let me know. Our finances, we ended last year with about $535 in our account. Our current balance as of yesterday is $2,000.45. We raised $1,973 this last year. The majority came from the t-shirt fundraiser that we did last winter, I believe. Last year, I think about a year ago. Open Collective takes some fees out of whatever we raise. It's about 6 or 8%, I want to say. And then there's fees that the services that we use to get money. So PayPal, Stripe, they take out some fees. So net, we raised $1,809. We have some individual donors. They total to $330 this last year. And the only expense we had this year was the one for the election body that we use to run the elections right now. What's coming next? So if you noticed, we had some stickers. If you were to any of the events or any of the conferences, you probably got stickers about pens as a banner. All of these were paid through the Sloan grant for the community workshop. We hopefully going to do another fundraiser, maybe 2, to get some more money in. And besides that, if you're wondering why we don't spend any more money on anything, for a big part, that is because we don't have a reliable income stream, right? All the money we have right now is from fundraisers and individual donations, so it's nothing we can rely on. Hence, it's difficult to buy anything that requires a financial commitment like a member management software. But hopefully that will change in the future, and we have the financial sustainability work group to work on that. All right, that's it.
Great, thanks, Yulia. So next up, we've got Christina Maimon, who's going to introduce our candidates for steering committee as our election chair for 2022. So Christina, over to you.
Yep, let me get my screen up. Okay, hopefully that is working correctly. We'll see if the sound works later. Hi, I'm Christina. Yes, I am serving as the election chair this year and really excited to share information about our 9 candidates for the steering committee because all great, you've already heard from some of them of things they're doing to help USRSE or help with the RSEs more broadly. Just wanted to let everybody, make sure everybody knows a little bit about the steering committee and what you are voting on. The links, emails with links to your ballot to vote went out about an hour before the meeting started today. So those should be in your email. You can look for those to vote later after you read about the candidates, make an informed choice, hear about their videos that are coming up. So the steering committee is 9 members who are the leadership of USRSE. It's an elected body. And this is our 3rd election. We elect about half of the committee every year so that we have overlap in the leadership. And so we have that continuation of knowledge and how we do things. This year, there are 4 seats open. And what folks are doing on the steering committee is volunteering their time. We found that steering committee members are probably spending maybe 4 to 10 hours a month on USRSE related activities, which involves meeting with the other steering committee members, talking about the strategic direction for USRSE, leading different working groups, specific activities, running events, representing USRSE with other organizations that are in our space or adjacent to it or international. And within the steering committee, we elect the chair. So the steering committee elected Ian as the chair for all times past so far. But each year we redo elections for those leadership positions as well within the steering committee. The election, as I mentioned, is open today. You should already have an email at the email that you got a verification about your membership. You should have a link to vote in the election if you were a member as of November 20th, meaning you had signed up, filled out the form, and hadn't, have a current email address that we were able to get to. The link comes from Election Buddy, which is the software that we're using. It is ranked choice voting. So you just rank all of the candidates in order and does all of the nice algorithm figuring out to see who the 4 people are who will be elected. There is a link in the chat for the written information that candidates provided about themselves. Usually there's a link to their LinkedIn profile or some other profile page. Is there email there if you happen to have questions, but we encourage you to ask questions of the candidates on the election channel in Slack afterwards, because not everyone was able to be here today. So we're not going to have questions for the steering committee candidates in the question and answer portion of this meeting. Please put those in Slack. And then we've got videos from all of them to introduce a little bit about themselves. So I'm going to play those. I've sort of randomized the order of people every time they're listed somewhere. So in case you're wondering why a specific order, it's just random. All right, I'm going to play these. I'm going to try and mute my audio. And so if the sound isn't coming through from the video, let me know.
Hi, everyone. My name's Miranda Munt. I work at Sandia National Laboratories in Albuquerque, New Mexico as a research software engineer. My department at Sandia is the Software Engineering and Research Department, and we are the first RSE group at Sandia, which is as a direct result of the USRSE. We as a department decided to submit en masse to the RSEs and HPC workshop as part of Supercomputing 2020. It was the first time any of us had ever heard the term RSEs, so we kind of started looking more into it and figured out that that's really what we were, and ended up becoming the group we are today because of that. I personally joined the USRSE after the workshop. I then joined the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion working group shortly thereafter. I saw really quickly how great this association is and how great all the work is that we're trying to do. I really tried to become a bigger member of the community once I started to kind of build those connections with other people. Earlier this year, I started the Outreach Working Group as a way to organize more targeted outreach activities and to go places we hadn't gone before, like, for example, Supercomputing this year, where I was one of the USRSE representatives at our first ever booth. In this community, it really has become just that, a community. We all bring something unique, we all bring something special, and being a part of it has just been amazing, especially seeing its growth over the last few years. I want to be on the steering committee because I want to help continue to make this association grow in population, in reach, and in financial stability. There's still a lot of people who haven't heard the term RSEs, and they don't have a community behind them to help advocate for them. We're at the point where we can do that. And we need to find avenues to get stable funding and then figure out how to use it the most efficiently, like maybe travel or research grants for those who don't have ample opportunities to go to events or get funding for their niche research. I really love the USRSE community, and I'd love the opportunity to help steer us into the next natural phase of our growth. Hi, everyone.
Hello, my name is Keith Beattie, and I'm a computer systems engineer and a new group lead of the Sustainable Software Engineering Group at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. My background is that I have a bachelor's degree in mathematics and a master's degree in computer science. I worked for about 5 years in industry, a couple of different .coms, and then for the last 20 years, I've been at LBL working on various projects such as neutrino detectors, process systems engineering frameworks. And one of the things that I've noticed working in all these different projects is the different ways that scientists approach software engineering from engineers. Also, the real distinction between the career tracks that are promoted and available for engineers versus what those on the scientist track. Don't get me wrong, some of my best friends are scientists, but I think that we could do a lot more to promote those careers and reach out to engineers. That's one of the reasons why I think the USRSE is an excellent organization. I would like to, if I can become more involved, help expand that, promote the advantages of working in science, build that community, let people know what their opportunities are. I think we could also do a lot to reach out to different communities, like reach out to high schools, reach out to community colleges, reach out to like non-science majors. Some of the best engineers I've ever worked with have degrees like from philosophy. I think it's also important for us to reach out to underrepresented populations. HBCUs seem like a really good opportunity for us to reach out to. I think we'd also reach out to industry and try to get some of those people stolen back from us. So I think one of the things that I can bring to it is a good technical background, but also good interpersonal skills. So hopefully you'll vote for me. I know it's ranked choice voting, so we're all going to vote for Miranda, but maybe you can put me second. Thanks. Hello, my name is
Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Milliken, and I work in the Office of Research, Computing, and Data at MIT. I'm very excited to be running for the steering committee for USRSE. In my work, I spend a lot of time focused on figuring out how our researchers can be the most successful using our high-performance computing systems. This has put a lot of my attention on training and education. I've taught workshops, created online courses, written documentation, and more, all on the subject of introductory high-performance computing. I have written papers, given presentations, and organized workshops and sessions on training and education for HPC. I joined USRSE a few years ago. I related to the term research software engineer and thought if I had known about it in college, I would have said that's what I wanted to do. I remember thinking during an internship at a company that did power market analysis that I enjoyed creating the tool to help the analyst more than doing the analysis itself. Later on, early in my career, I was looking for resources to help improve my software engineering skills and had a hard time finding relevant materials or courses. It was these experiences that drew me to the group. I've thought as USRSE expands, it could help folks like me find the right path for them and help guide them through learning the skills needed to be successful. Since joining, I have felt welcomed into the community, which has encouraged me to participate more in the group. Because of my experience in training and education in the HPC space, I joined the Education and Training Working Group, where I helped organize a seminar series, wrote a blog post, and am now a co-chair. I'm running for the steering committee because I want to spend my time making meaningful contributions to the group. I believe my experience planning and running workshops and events, both virtual and in person, can help me do that.
Hello, my name is Joshua Tevis, and I'm a programmer at the section on functional imaging methods, an MRI research lab at the National Institutes of Health. I've only recently joined USRSE in the last year, but I've already really grown to enjoy the community and become committed to it. That's why I've spent time working on both the Code of Conduct and outreach working groups. Looking forward, we're going to have to define ourselves as an organization as well as a community, involving many administrative decisions and choices about the directions we want to take. Some of this is going to involve a lot of work, and I'm going to commit to doing some of that work regardless of whether or not you elect me. If elected, though, I'm going to take the following additional steps while on the steering committee. I'm going to do my best to make sure that steering committee decisions are communicated to the community, including why they're being made and how the community direction will spring from it. I'm going to open my door to any community members to raise any questions or concerns that they might have about the steering committee and the direction that it's taking, and make sure that those voices are heard by the steering committee. I'm also hoping to lead community discussion on what we want to define as our shared vision and what we'll need to fully realize our goals. Realizing our goals might also include securing a revenue stream, and I'll commit to making that one of my top priorities while on the committee. We have an exciting year ahead, including our first annual conference, and a lot of us are going to have to pitch in to make it the best that it can be. Thank you for everyone who participates in USRSE and all that you do. Please consider voting for me, and thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Aaron Holmes. I'm a senior software engineer in UCLA's Cancer Data Science Lab. My background spans nearly 2 decades of software engineering across a variety of industries. However, it's been a life goal to work within research, and I've been doing that for just over 2 years now. Now I aim to be more deeply involved in the many aspects of research software. My past industry and enterprise experience positions me uniquely to provide software knowledge and practices that are not typically seen in academic institutes, and it's those skills that the USRSE aims to promote. Joining the steering committee will allow me to apply myself to this goal with even broader reach, ultimately helping researchers and software engineers across the nation to write and use higher quality software, leading to higher quality research. I have 3 overarching goals in joining the steering committee. 1, to bring the USRSE leadership to local research software initiatives, advocating for the role of RSEs and the importance of applying software engineering principles in research. 2, to bring a voice from the US Coastal Southwest to the steering committee, expanding the perspective of US RSE goals to include the needs of RSEs and research software in the region. And 3, to bring new initiatives to the steering committee to enable broader acceptance of the idea of RSEs and formation of such roles and groups within research institutions. Finally, your vote for me is a vote for a person passionate about his interests and sharing those interests with others. I will continue to work hard to advocate for the USRSE with my colleagues and across UCLA, as well as to represent the needs of RSEs on the ground within the steering committee. I believe the USRSE is necessary to bring software engineering principles to research and look forward to serving with the committee to further those initiatives. Thank you for your consideration. Hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lance Parsons, an RSE in bioinformatics and a founding member of the USRSE Steering Committee. I'm passionate about open science, open source software, and building a diverse and inclusive community that can effectively advocate for research software engineers. I lead a small group of RSEs in genomics at Princeton University. This has given me a chance to see firsthand many of the challenges faced by RSEs, including the lack of defined career path, difficulty in getting recognition for our work, and a general lack of good funding models for RSEs. My priorities for the last 2 years were to attract a diverse membership and to engage our members to participate in and lead initiatives. I'm proud to see how we've grown on those 2 fronts. As we've seen, the USRSE continues to gain membership, but perhaps more importantly, our members are more active than ever. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Working Group that I co-chair continues to bring new perspectives to the association through our speaker series and encourages great discussions in the Media Club. The energy and enthusiasm from the April workshop and the recent booth at SC22 has led to even more activity, including the formation of additional working groups, the creation of the wildly popular Funder Talk series, and the Education and Training Seminar series. And of course, we're all excited for the USRSE conference in 2023 in Chicago. Looking forward, as the USRSE grows, I believe now is the time to focus on making this a stable and mature organization, one that continues to be welcoming to a diverse membership from many backgrounds, career levels, and institutions, including industry, national labs, and academia. To do this, the steering committee must create the structure needed to support a sustainable organization and ensure we have the resources to achieve our goals. That means providing direction that allows us to harness the power of our diverse community. It also means making sure that our members have the space and opportunity to add their voice and make meaningful and impactful contributions. I'm proud of what we've accomplished and excited to see what we can do next. I'd be honored to have the opportunity to continue to serve on the steering committee. Hi, everyone.
Hi, my name is Julia Damore, and I'm running in this year's USRSE Steering Committee election. I'm a scientific software engineer in the School of Complex Adaptive Systems at Arizona State University, where I run the Digital Innovation Group. The Digital Innovation Group develops software for historians of science, and it consists of me, one other full-time software engineer, and usually somewhere between 10 and 15 student workers that are mostly from the computer science department. I'm currently on the USRSE Steering Committee. This past year, I've been the treasurer, and I would really like to continue, as I think I have more to give to USRSE. I've co-organized the last two USRSE virtual workshops. I'm the co-chair of the upcoming USRSE conference next year, and I co-organize our monthly community calls, and I'm part of the education and training working group. Outside of USRSE, I'm on the steering committee of DH Tech, which is a community of people doing technical work in the digital humanities. We organize meetups and conference workshops. We recently had a hackathon, which was a lot of fun. And we have a working group that works on establishing a community code review process for the digital humanities. Besides the general topics like career path, recognition for RSEs, and community building, I'm very passionate about RSE education. I believe that we need to establish formal training opportunities and certificates to create a clear path from being a student to taking up an RSE position. My most recent effort in that area that I'm very excited about is the creation of a class for students at ASU called Fundamentals of Research Software Engineering that we teach in this upcoming spring semester. I hope to get a chance to serve this community for another 2 years, and I hope that you will vote for me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rinku Gupta. I'm a research software specialist from Argonne National Lab in Illinois. I have been working a bit about myself. I've been working in software engineering since my early college days. I've worked as an RSE in industry, academia, and national labs. I have done my master's in computer science and engineering, and I have over 25 years of experience doing research in software sustainability, software quality, fault tolerance, and other aspects of HPC. And while my professional titles have all varied over the last few years, I can say very confidently that in the true essence, they all fall under the RSE spectrum. I have served as an RSE on several Department of Energy and ASCAP projects. I also serve as editor-in-chief of the Better Scientific Software website, popularly known as bssw.io, which focuses on improving software engineering. I've been actively involved in the RSE community, both domestically and internationally. I have presented several related talks, RSE-related talks, organized BOFs, organized breakout sessions, tea time sessions at multiple conferences and workshops in the last couple of years. My primary focus has been on 4 topics: improving RSE career tracks, education of RSEs, mentoring, and recognition of RSEs in academia and national labs. I believe that RSEs form the foundation of computing science today, and I passionately believe in the cause of USRSE. I got involved with USRSE because I really like their open culture, where every RSE has a voice and has opportunities to make a difference through involvement in different events or different working groups. I serve as a chair for the RSE Empowerment and National Labs Working Group, where we are seeking solutions for challenges faced by RSEs in National Lab. I want to work on creating a sense of belonging and pride among RSEs that are separated by distance, but not by their mission to improve science. I absolutely appreciate your vote that will allow me to work more closely with USRSC folks and continue on this mission.
I'm Kenton McHenry, Associate Director for Software at the National Center for Supercomputing Applications, housed at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. NCSA has a long history in terms of supporting software for science, having produced some very broadly impactful software over its 35-year history. I have worked at NCSA for 15 years, starting out as a research programmer, then getting into management and leadership within the organization. For the past 10 plus years, I have worked to address the challenges we were seeing with the growing need for software development within research, building processes around hiring and training, clarifying roles with faculty-led projects as well as goals, such as recognition and impact being important to us as well, addressing retention and providing long-term career paths, and through that, growing a team of 5 research programmers to 40 in order to support approaching scientific endeavors. When I was first introduced to the RSC movement some years ago, seeing that the challenges we had been observing were happening globally, I was immediately drawn towards being a part of it. I would like to be part of the USRSC steering committee to help nurture and drive this effort, raise awareness of it among the many academic software engineers who have yet to hear of it, raise awareness of it amongst university leadership, and overall elevate the role of RSCs so that it is widely recognized as a core part of contemporary research along with faculty and students.
All right, so those are our candidates. Hopefully I didn't just blast your ears. I forgot to change the volume. Very excited to have 9 really great candidates. So as a reminder, 4 of them are getting elected for 2 years on the steering committee. You have the link to vote in your email inbox, and you should do that within the next week. We'll be sending out a couple email reminders. And those who don't vote will get additional reminders from Election Buddy. We really do want to see wide participation. So you have colleagues who are in USRSC who maybe aren't here or aren't remembering to vote, give them a little bit of a nudge so that we have some good turnout. Because while we have 1,300-ish members in the organization, obviously not everyone is always active, but we still do want to hear from everyone and make sure their voices are represented on the steering committee. All right, I think that's our candidate information. Goes back to Ian now.
Great. Thanks, Christina, and thanks to all the candidates. I'm excited. It's a great group. I can say that because I'm not running, so I can be excited at how many great candidates we have. So with that, I realized that we had done it slightly backwards, but we're going to have our open question and answer, open member discussion. You know, we had to cut one question short, but now's the time where we can start discussing those things. And for that, I'm going to pass it over to Dan, who's going to moderate and lead this next session. So Dan, over to you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ian. Yeah, so we'll do this just to kind of keep things, I don't know, structured in some sense. We'll do this by raising hands of anybody that wants to speak. And we could also then start with Abikim. Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm saying that exactly right or not, but you had a question that you were trying to say before when I tried to push you to this section. So now's the time.
Well, yeah. Thank you very much, Daniel. Well, actually, I had a back channel discussion with Ginku, so we will continue our discussion through email or Slacks. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Great. Anybody else want to say anything? Questions for anybody that's spoken before about any of the talks, general discussion about where we are in USRSC? Yeah, David.
I see that Chris Hill is actually here now. Can we say just a little bit more about financial stability, like as a working group, and just what we clearly have some brilliant t-shirt ideas in the chat this time, but like what else could we be doing?
Yeah, I can say a little bit. I mean, that group has been somewhat dormant, partly, through me, but also I'm not sure we were quite ready to do it until next year. But I think, you know, other things that I think we should be talking about next year are things like, you know, is there some, and this is for this group to think about, but it'd be great for everybody to sort of start pondering on, is are there places where, you know, an organization like USRSE could provide enough value that, you know, membership fees will make sense, or some, you know, kind of membership card or something that gives people, you know, value and in exchange for money to help support the organization, whether that would make sense. I think certainly, you know, our little various logoware things went very well at supercomputing and things, and I think we should try and figure out a streamlined way of kind of using those to raise money. But there's also kind of, you know, organizations like this, as they grow and become more like a professional representation body, you know, there's a lot of them do end up with a model as some sort of, you know, option to have some sort of membership fee that then gives something in return. And it will be interesting, I think, in the next year to think about, you know, that sort of direction. There's also issues around, you know, we have not, again, pursued this year talking to industry or government or academic organizations about sponsorship. We actually had a few conversations at supercomputing with people, again, around these sort of things. I think those are things that are kind of on the to-do list to talk about. You know, we're a very member-driven organization, so, you know, different people have different perspectives on these things. So I think that will be something we want to kind of explore ideas there. You know, some obviously may, you know, there's maybe some sponsors we don't want to do, or some styles of sponsorship we don't want to do, you know, having too many ads on our community calls. I don't know, that might take away the fun, but, you know, I think those are places as well that we'll be looking soon. Was there a specific question around this earlier? Sorry, I had another meeting between 1 and 2 with a, you know, a research sponsor, so I didn't have any choice but to that. So, yeah, I mean, there were other things that came up.
No, just the group came up, so that was perfect, I think. What?
I have a quick question. Is there a good Slack channel to discuss this kind of stuff? And I'm sorry if I missed that earlier. Can you hear me?
There is. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put it in chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. I think. Yeah. I missed the key word when you said, "Is there a good X to do this kind of stuff?" I missed.
Slack channel.
Yes. Yeah. There is. Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on this, or any other things that anyone wants to bring up?
Yeah, I was actually curious as a new member who I think joined recently during PyData, and it's just more curious with the organization as well, is how do we perceive or our relationship to other professional groups like the ACM? Because it seems like there's maybe some overlap there.
Yeah, I mean, other things.
Sorry, there was a little bit, there was echo coming from somewhere. I'm not quite sure, but I don't know who is there anyone who'd like to answer that one? I'm not actually, maybe I'll just ask what the organization you said, the ECM?
No, sorry, the ACM, the Association for Computing Machinery. I guess I come to the field by way of a CS background, and that's the kind of that and the IEEE are the big operators there.
Okay, so maybe I'll say something then if anybody else wants to jump in as well. And I guess I'm saying this partly because I'm on the board of governors of the Computer Society. I think we should have better connections than we do to both the Computer Society and ACM, as well as other organizations. But at this point, we don't have any kind of, I would say, I don't believe we have any kind of formal cross-organization official relationships. We do have a relationship with ADSA, the Academic Data Science Alliance that Ian mentioned a couple of times. And we also have a relationship through the RCD group. Sandra, maybe, I don't know if you want to say anything, or maybe Christina wants to say something about that. Or not? But so the research and computing data professionals area has a number of different organizations, including CARC and CASC and and probably other ones, Campus Champions, others that I'm not thinking of. And we do talk with them on a monthly basis and try to talk about what we might be able to do together, where we don't with these other professional organizations like ACM or IEEE or any of the other professional organizations in other disciplinary areas, I guess like AAS or things like that in astronomy.
Hi, Dan. Sorry, my laptop was not collaborating. Zoom is not happy today with me. So is the audio okay?
Yeah, sounds fine now.
So, okay. So, yeah, so with CARC, or, you know, also really with everything around CARC, with the people network and everything, we are collaborating closely with them and looking into possibilities. Also, not only, you know, to build more communities around the different functions of research facilitators, of, yeah, there's also like really some people are more system facing, some people like us are more software facing. So to have a little bit of collaborations there and exchange events we have together, how could we reach out more to new community or members, that they also find their way through the ecosystem. So there's, for example, the community of communities, which tries just to give people a guideline how, what is a good, you know, community to join for them, where can they find material, where they can find events, and because there's a lot of going on in this space. And that's good, because I think not only research software engineers, but also research facilitators were for years underestimated as a, you know, career path. And there's more and more awareness of that, but we still have also a lot of work in front of us. So these are also organizations partially then supported by funded projects, but most of them are also looking for more funding and how to stay sustainable.
Right. I guess just to maybe just to continue very slightly, I guess my view is that we are an organization that in some sense is parallel and kind of overlapping in some cases with things like ACM or IEEE or SIAM or other societies. But we don't have, I would say, good interaction with those organizations at a high level in most cases, even though I think we do at a person-to-person level. Just again on my part from the Computer Society, if anybody has ideas of specific things to do, I'm very happy to try to help with those, since I'm kind of in both of the organizations. Anybody else want to say anything?
Yeah, I might jump in for a second. Sorry, I didn't raise my hand, Dan. I'm breaking the rules. I think one of the nice things about USRSC is its grassroots nature, its community-driven aspect, and so we're sort of building this up from the bottom up of what this community of specifically research software engineers want, need. How do we advocate on behalf of it? What that means in terms of the long-term view of a relationship with these larger ACM, IEEE, Computer Society type organizations. Let's see once we find our own identity and path forward. I think we have the narrower focus of RSE is an advantage for us right now, and it allows us to kind of steer our own ship in a way that possibly would be harder if we had a really formal tie to one of these larger associations for now. But Peter's come up before. I think it's a good question, and I think it's certainly something that, to Dan's earlier point, we can probably do a better job of, you know, communicating and talking to.
Thanks.
Okay. Sam.
Hey, I'm relatively new. I'm Sam at Oak Ridge National Lab. So I sit more on the domain science end of RSE. So I'm curious if outreach covers interactions with the very substantial number of domain science societies and organizations, or if that's something that this is kind of in some ways similar to the previous discussion, but somewhat orthogonal. I'm just curious about the connections to other groups. That's something that other people are interested in. That's something that should be a new working group, or if that should be, like I said, rolled in with other outreach.
So Miranda?
I'm 100% going to be honest. I wasn't listening. What?
So quicker version of that is there's a lot of domain science organizations, and that's where I sit on the RSE continuum. So I don't know if that's something that fits in with the current outreach, or if that would be something that's kind of a separate working group to figure out how do we connect with other, right? Because each domain science has its own societies. I'm personally in material science.
Yep.
So I would be interested in connecting as an RSE to my own home domain science organization. But
It
I
is
think
actually, yeah, it's a conversation we've had. One of the things, one of our very first outreach meetings was talking about how do we as RSEs make ourselves at home in other domain science spaces. In particular, like how do we go to like, I hang out with chemical engineers. How do I go to AICHE and actually feel like I belong? I have no idea. So it's a conversation that we've had. We have kind of tabled it for some other conversations, but Sam, please come in and help us figure out how to do it, because we don't know how to do it, but it has been a thing we've thought about.
All right, excited to join.
Chris?
Yeah, I would echo that. I think, our membership has grown to about 1,500 now, but I still would say, for instance, I work a lot in studying the climate on computers, and I would still say that the bulk of the people I know who work on kind of RSE work in that field, who I know personally, and maybe this is my fault because I'm not actively recruiting them, but it's partly an experiment, that haven't joined US RSE, even though I think they probably are pretty active RSEs in some ways. And I think that's, it's to do with the fact that we're a young organization, the concept is young, and there's some maturing that needs to go on. But I would love to see more, activity in that way, as you say, trying to connect domain people who see themselves in a domain, also helping them recognize that they're sort of part of this broader community, because I think there's a lot of cross-domain learning that can go on, and idea sharing and networking too.
Yeah, so just to build on that very slightly, Simon Hetrick did a kind of back of the envelope calculation where he thought there could be as many as 100,000 RSEs in the US.
About 100.
Are there other questions?
We'll hold you to the 100,000 down. How long to get there, do you think?
Yeah, sorry, there's some, Chris, there's something weird going on with your audio where there's like an echo that's showing up, but and being chopped up very badly, even if you're muted. It seems like from before then. Don't know. Sorry. Anyhow,
my question was how long you thought it would take to get to 100,000 members then?
Well, I guess if we accelerate another 20 years.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. So, okay. Other questions on different topics. So. Maybe just to throw out one question, is there, again, thinking about working groups? We talked about all the working groups we have. Does anybody have any thoughts about something that we don't have, where we should have a group, where you might be interested in helping, or at least you think it would be a good thing for somebody else to do? Maybe that's a good sign if nobody can think of anything else.
I don't know what's happening with Chris's audio. He looks muted, but something's coming through.
Okay, last few seconds for any other discussion anybody wants to have. Any other questions? If not, I'll turn it back over to Ian and we'll wrap up. Yeah, Charles.
Since we've got a few minutes, I was going to ask Sandra if you could tell us a little bit more about what the timeline is going to be for the conference in October.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll leave my video off for a moment. My Zoom is really having some connection problems. So just tell me if I'm not coming through with the audio. So Julia and I will send out the emails today. So we had 25 applications for roles on the chair committee. So we will send out the emails today. We will also, of course, we couldn't take every 25, so we are sorry about that, but there will be enough to do. So I'm not concerned that we don't find roles for everyone who's interested. So the timeline is roughly now that we really want to meet already with the first chair committee next week, because the rooms are booked. Julia and I decided that we will have at least 200 people coming to Chicago to the conference, and that we can have breakout rooms and everything. So we keep them all because yeah, the university asked me whether we want to maybe not have a couple of breakout rooms and save money. So we keep the rooms. So, and then with the deadlines, a rough deadline I think would be to invite then reviewers, to invite dependent on what kind of submission. So there will be program chairs, and so to organize everything, I would assume that submission deadlines will be around March, April, May for different forms of concepts. We will look into sponsors. We will look whether, yeah, should we have, like working groups, more interactive passages? Do we want keynote speakers? I think we want to have, also talks. Do we want to have posters? Do we want to have, different tutorials? These are all decisions I think we have to make until the mid of January, and from there the deadlines will evolve, and there will be also travel funding for people who don't have travel funding. This is all what we are working on. So yeah, look out for an email today if you applied for a role. And from there, I really think that it will take up from January to that you can see deadlines and what. And if you have feedback directly now, what you would like to see, like for example, oh, you always enjoy really the poster session with free beer and wine and discussing. I don't know. So we are open to suggestions. That is why we also really said, okay, everyone who volunteers, please apply for a role. That it's really a community-driven organization. Any questions?
Okay, thanks, Sandra. I guess just as a general comment on that, there also are other USRSE activities at other places, as was mentioned. Likely hopefully there will be something at SE again, maybe at eScience again, maybe at other things. If there is a place that you think we should be doing something at a different event, please let us know. And if you're interested in being involved in any of these other things in addition to the USRSE conference, again, please let us know. Talk to the outreach working group, I think, is a place to coordinate these things. Sorry, Miranda, the only reason I was saying maybe is that they're peer reviewed, so we can submit, but we don't know if we'll be accepted or not necessarily. Ian.
Yeah, I only wanted to point out that we're back into doing some of these things in person, but ultimately we are a virtual organization, and so be discouraged. This is an in-person thing, but there's lots of ways to get involved and participate. And we've done these virtual workshops and the community calls. The only way to participate is not just go to this conference. So I just want to point out that we will continue. It's not a replacement. It's in addition to our virtual activities.
Great,
and
thank you.
of course, all our 1,400 members are more than welcome to come. It would be a good problem to have.
Okay, any other comments or discussion? All right, well, back over to Ian, then we'll wrap up.
yeah, we'll close things out. So with this, I want to take a final opportunity to thank everybody who spoke today, all the steering committee candidates who are running, and all of you for coming. I look forward to having more discussion on Slack. I think if there's a takeaway from this, it's that there's lots of opportunities to get involved. You can lurk, you can hang around. We welcome that. If you see something that you'd like to do, speak up, reach out. We're here to listen. And with that, we'll wrap things up. Hope everybody has a fantastic end of 2022 and looking forward to an equally exciting 2023 for USRC.